Here's the issue, Mark. You and I are aging, and that it's hard to stop that.
Nope,
you know
it's
what I mean?
problematic.
So we can't do the things like we used to do, which is like, stay up late at the bar, then go get a burrito, and then wake up 4 hours later, and everything's fine. We need something. How about this, Mark? How about what I've been using? Terra Origin. Because adulthood, it's hitting hard. We're dealing with it. Middle-aged guys. My knees hurt. I hurt my wrist the other day. I punched a door. Shouldn't have done that. And now my wrist hurts. This is stuff that wasn't happening when I was young. So this is where Terra Origin comes in. Are you curious why I punched the door?
Yeah, I was going to say that's a different conversation, but if you've got Terra Origin, I'm sure that you're going to be able to get your way out of that mess.
Aaron Judge grounded into a double play. Anyway, Terra Origin makes science-backed, clean supplements designed to help men perform better, recover faster, and feel good every single day. They make smart, no BS supplements that actually help you feel human again, and that's why. This is the product that you need. The best part about Terra Origin, no fluff, no fads, just premium, transparent formulas you can trust. It's like upgrading your daily routine from survive to thrive. So whether you're lifting, leading, grinding, or parenting, Terra Origin helps you show up at your best. Visit TerraOrigin.com and use the code PODCAST for 30% off your first order and free shipping. That's TerraOrigin.com. Terra Origin. Feel better from the inside out.
Summer's here. The days are long, the weather's perfect, and your time should be filled with fun, not vehicle maintenance. Thankfully, with complimentary Ford mobile service, you don't have to take time out of your day to take care of your vehicle. That's right, from oil changes with the Works package to brakes, batteries, tire rotations, and more. Ford technicians can come perform expert service right in your driveway. So go ahead and stay poolside and let Ford mobile service come to you. That's ownership built around you. Contact your participating dealer or visit fordservice.com for important details and limitations.
Oh, I meant to tell you. Yes.
Yeah.
On Sunday at the Sam Darnold show, on Sunday, he was like, "Hey, are you Michael-Shawn?" I said, "Yes." And then he was like, "Yeah, man, I love your stuff. I'm here from Scotland. I used to listen to you on Heed the Call." I was like,
I love it.
Wow. And this is just in the line getting coffee.
And now you're back on the show. Welcome to Heed the Call, an NFL podcast. I should say that slower for branding purposes. Welcome to Heed the Call, an NFL podcast.
That's how you do it.
Feed it into the algorithm. Ones and zeros, global growth gaining. Spotify Wrapped.
Who are you talking to at this point?
Dan Hanzus here. Marc Sessler, Justin Graver on the ones and twos. Yeah, shout out to everybody who is sending their Spotify Wrap info our way, showing their allegiance to the show, their hedonism. And Mark, that is very meaningful to us. And also people out there are like, my numbers are a little down this year, but that's because I'm watching the YouTube show more. However you consume the heroes,
yeah,
gobble us up. Drink us down.
We love that too. I do think we uniquely have one of the greatest listener groups of any show out there. It's
oh yeah.
It's been, there's a lot of legacy people. Not every one of them are in my favorites list at the moment, but you know what? I love these people that post how many hours they've spent listening to this show. That's commitment. I know you're doing it at work. You're doing it on your drive time. We love you.
We love you too. We love everybody. Coming up later today. But sincerely, thank you to everybody for not just the support of us going back to the old days, but especially in this new era. And the show continues to grow and build momentum. Momentum does exist, and Heed the Call is actual proof of that. So eat it, haters. Coming up today on the show, speaking of things that we love, Michael-Shawn Dugar, an OG of the Heed the Call world, makes his long-awaited return as we dig into the fascinating, the wild, the wonderful National Football Conference, which we have far more affection for than the American Football Conference. Now, you might say, let's say if the Jets Browns and Titans were not 3 of the 5 worst teams in football, maybe the show would be singing a different tune if those teams are fighting atop the conference. But that's not the case. They're in the 4th tier of the HTC Power Rankings. So as a result, we look at the NFC, which has so many interesting, good, and even great teams. And Michael-Shawn Dugar, who covers the Seahawks beautifully for The Athletic and has an up-close and personal look at that conference, is going to talk about that. And also, what happens when the Darnold Hive comes to you?
Yeah.
Michael-Shawn Dugar, never a Sam Darnold guy. We'll get into that. And speaking of Sam Darnold, we all have our moments, Sessdog. When you do a show like this, you'll have moments that are high and moments that are low, where you kind of put yourself out there on Hot Take Island, and then sometimes you die out there, and then sometimes you're lifted up. And I'll use myself as an example. This is everyone. Like for me, for every Tom Brady is in a gradual decline, and then he wins 3 more Super Bowls or whatever. If that's the low point, I would say in the history of our show, my high point was my undying faith that Sam Darnold could be a good NFL quarterback, which I took a lot of heat for over the years. But I always thought Darnold just needed a better landing spot and needed better coaching and better surrounding talent, and he could become a real starter. And that's exactly what happened. So that was a W for the old Zeuser. Mark has a bunch of W's that he keeps in his mind at all times. And maybe he'll share later.
I'm not able to track my win-loss record as much. I can't remember what happened yesterday for the most part. So.
Right. Actually, I take that back. Mark, this is the first podcast he's ever done. This is goldfish stuff with Heed the Call. But and along those lines, something I said on Sunday's show after the Seahawks had that tremendous shutout performance by their defense of the woebegone Vikings, the team that Darnold helped resurrect a year earlier before going to Seattle. I did share, Mark, my thoughts that should be worried about Sam Darnold a little bit as he quietly, I feel like, hasn't played so hot in the last month or so, month and a half.
Yeah,
even
not
if you look
quietly,
at the stats.
but you're right. Yeah.
I mean quietly in the fact that it's not really a talking point, because when you win 26-0, for instance, against the Vikings, it overlooks the quarterback. But he does lead the NFL in turnover-worthy plays. We'll get into that with Michael-Shawn Dugar, amongst other things. But I'm just curious. I always knew Darnold could be a good quarterback. Now, the one thing I never said is, can he be a championship quarterback? And that's one of the big questions that we need to find out about the NFC, because the Seahawks are otherwise ready to go. And with that said, I decided, as we get into today's Wednesday end-around show, to unveil the NFC pyramid of quarterback confidence. Like how I feel. The NFC QB Confidence Pyramid. That's another way to put it. And look at this graphic put together by Gravy. Check it out on the YouTube show. What do you want to do with that subscribe button, Mark?
You want to smash it.
Smash it.
With your right hand and then with your left hand.
Break your keyboard. We will not reimburse you. Anyway, so this is how I see, when you look at the teams that are currently, there are 10 teams currently in the mix in the NFC. 7 playoff spots, right? 7 playoff spots now? Is that what it's up to?
Correct.
Yeah, we're getting there. We're getting up there. We're going to get to 16 eventually.
Yeah, it's going to be the NHL from the 80s at some point.
So the 7 teams that are currently in playoff positioning as we head toward week 14, and then the 3 teams that are in the hunt right behind that group. So I decided to take those 10 QBs, put them in a pyramid. The bottom of the pyramid, which is where we're going to start, are the quarterbacks I have the least confidence in. And Mark, you let me know, Justin, you let me know if you agree with my NFC QB confidence pyramid as we look ahead to the home stretch of the regular season and the playoffs. Let's do tier 1 of the pyramid. All right, this is not a disrespectful shot, Chicago Bears fans, at Caleb Williams, who I know is progressing, and I know the Bears have won relentlessly this season, but I have Caleb Williams and Bryce Young together at the bottom of this pyramid. They just have to show it, because we haven't seen them in a big spot in December, in January. I have them at the bottom of the pyramid, but obviously that could change a lot based on the next 2 months.
I mean, I agree in the sense that if Caleb Williams were in a different tier, I'd kind of ask why. How do we know that? So yes, and Bryce Young, it feels like the whole team is a weekly proposition, and Bryce Young is sort of the symbol of that. So with you,
Justin, you good with this?
No issues with this.
Thank you, Justin. All right, let's go to the. That's what we paying for, folks.
That was
yeah,
right to the point, and I
right
like
there.
that. Yeah,
Just cutting out all the fat. No bullshit zone with Justin Graver. All right, the next tier up. So those guys, they still have to prove something. All right, so this is the second tier: Brock Purdy and Sam Darnold. I feel like they're a perfect grouping together. I feel like Purdy, for all the things he does well, and as I've said on the show, the heaters that he can get on where he's almost unstoppable in that Shanahan offense. He's also prone to what happened 2 weeks ago, becoming very turnover heavy and taking a lot of risks. And, those bad Purdy games are very much like the bad Darnold games where it's like, whoa, does he have 3-4 turnovers? And wait, if you watch his game tape, could he have like 5 or 6? They're similar like that. So I think there is a little bit of a higher ceiling and a lower floor here, but the floor is not so low that they're in the bottom tier because they've proven themselves to a certain extent. But I got to put Purdy and Darnold together. Where do you stand on that one?
Okay, I think you were really fair with Darnold, and I appreciate that you didn't put him somewhere else. Purdy's taken the team to a Super Bowl. He's won playoff games. He's been very consistent for the most part in the regular season. This year's Purdy is a little more of a mystery. So I don't have a problem with this year's Brock Purdy being in that.
It's funny. I think this is the same exact Brock Purdy as we've always seen. I don't see a difference I know he was injured earlier this season, but he's always been a little more hot and cold than I think people even realize. I've never been the biggest Brock Purdy fan either, fairly. Right. I thought they should have thought twice before giving him that contract. I just think he's... Again, if the goal is to win a Super Bowl, he did have a chance at the end of that Chiefs
I know,
Super Bowl.
that thing is he's taken them there and very nearly won a Super Bowl. But I think Purdy is one of those quarterbacks that are, and Justin, I love to know what you think. Different people are going to see Purdy through a different lens, and it's fair.
Same with Darnold.
Yeah,
Justin.
Yeah. I agree with Mark in the sense that, if I had to rank...
I was hoping you were going to have another 3-word answer there. It would have been funny.
2 quarterbacks that I would put, Purdy above Darnold simply because of the been-there-before thing, whereas Darnold last year, when it really mattered against the best teams he faced in those last 2 games of the season, regular and playoffs, he didn't look like a guy that you should have a lot of confidence in. Obviously, that could be matchup based, and we'll give him another chance this year to go prove he can do it. But I think putting them together based on what we've seen from Purdy this year does feel fair. But I would have more confidence in Purdy than Darnold.
Yeah, and it's kind of heartbreaking. And also, again, when you talk about sports are dumb ultimately, the Brock Purdy's final throw of Super Bowl 58, when he drops back to pass in the red zone, he has a receiver open for a touchdown. I think it was, who was it? It was Juwan Jennings. But Chris Jones blows up the play. It forces him to rush the throw. And as a result, the 49ers have to settle for a field goal, and then Patrick Mahomes does his thing. If he hits on that pass, if Chris Jones trips on his shoelaces, of course he's not going to be in this tier.
Right.
But
that's the thing.
Not how it happens.
It's 12 seconds of football changed his tier.
Yep. And that's the way it goes in sports. All right, now the next tier. Purdy. So here's the next tier is the second to highest tier. It's the tier where I feel confident that these guys can get it done in crunch time this season, that they will be individuals who can be the difference, not just be along for the ride, but be difference makers in separating in this very tight NFC. I have Jalen Hurts, Baker Mayfield, Jordan Love, Jared Goff all grouped together. I would imagine there's going to be some Eagles fans push back against Hurts. Not only has Hurts been there, he's won a Super Bowl. He played awesome in the other Super Bowl. He's proven. This is not so much an indictment of Hurts, but a little bit of it is. I don't think he's been great this year at all. This is an indictment of the entire Eagles offensive operation and the fact that they've struggled so much, and the offensive coordinator is getting his house egged, and I don't trust the head coach to have the answers. And we've seen this team melt down before. That was enough to take him out of the highest level of confidence that I have in him. So it's more structural than player. and that's why Hurts is there. Do you have an issue with that, Mark?
Big week for eggs. It's a big week for eggs. I don't have a problem with it because I think this exercise isn't like a career retrospective. It's like it's where they are right now.
Right now.
And so, like, yeah, I think Jalen Hurts and that whole weird Eagles offense, you couldn't put... I have a bigger problem if you stuck him in the top of this little Egyptian pyramid.
And I thought about it because he has been nails in the playoffs in the past, but I'm not really looking at the past. I'm looking at right now. Baker has never really proven anything in the playoffs at a high level, but I do have faith, and I know you feel that way, Mark, that Baker, if he ever gets that platform and can get to that second level of the playoffs, I think he has big moments in him. He just needs the right team and the right moment in January. We'll see if it happens. Jordan Love, I really like the way Love is playing right now. He's a tougher one. I could have dropped Love to the Darnold.
Doesn't it feel like you could
Purdy
get a
tier.
stinker out of him, though? Like,
That's what I
at
mean.
the
That's the only thing. This is a little bit of recency bias, but I'll blame it on Bill Parcells, who says the season starts after Thanksgiving or on Thanksgiving, and he played so well. I just feel like he might be in line for a moment. And then Goff has had highs and lows. He also went to a Super Bowl. He's also had bad playoff performances. But I still feel like he can, in the right setup, take a team home. So they're all in that penultimate tier from the top.
As Justin would say, I agree.
So you're good with all of those?
I think it's. I don't think I'd make any major changes to this list so far. I see where you're coming from. It's about this season and what's happening in the present right now.
I guess I'm just too good at this. I was hoping for a little discourse. Gravy,
Well, we
what do you
did.
got?
We had a little disagreement
Yeah.
on the, but
I can't help it. If I nailed it, what are you going to do? You know, I can't get things wrong on purpose.
Yeah, I wonder about. I mean, it's tough because of what you said. Like, I have always felt that Jalen Hurts is propped up by the team around him in terms of like he's not doing the same things as the top passers in the sport. But at the same time, like, he's been farther than any of these guys in the playoffs. Jordan Love had a pretty good playoff beatdown of the Cowboys not too long ago. Goff made it, they lost to the Commanders in a game they were heavily favored. Baker won the first game in how many years for the Browns in the postseason? So you have some confidence in him to be able to
106
win.
years, I believe it was.
But yeah, I can't disagree. Like, honestly, I think you have done a fine job, Dan.
I mean, let's just call this podcast Nailed It.
Goff is maybe the one guy that if we're saying Brock Purdy is
Do
below,
it.
like Goff is above Purdy, like I don't know. Part of me
Take a stand, Mark.
I kind of think Goff belongs next to Brock Purdy.
Okay. I respectfully disagree, but I see where you're coming from on that, which takes us to the top of the pyramid. They got two guys that I feel the most confident in right now when they get their opportunity in January, if they get their opportunity in January, that they're going to ball out. Matthew Stafford, who's been an MVP candidate this year. I know he struggled a little bit against the Panthers, but I'm going to give him a pass on that. He's been incredible this season. And Dak Prescott, who I think is playing the best football of his career. I feel like he's been unfairly scrutinized at times in his career because of who he is, the team he plays for. But you watch that guy play week to week this year. I just feel like I'll use a baseball analogy, like waiting years and years for Aaron Judge to have his October moment. And then he played great this past October. The team let him down. But like, it was like, there it is. That's the guy we've been waiting for in the playoffs. I feel like Dak has that moment in him. The team just has to get there, and it's not going to be easy.
I can't agree with that one.
Okay.
I think Stafford absolutely is. He's a cowboy, not a Dallas Cowboy, but just like a roaming cowboy who you trust to take care of the day and the task at hand. I've never really seen Dak do it.
Okay.
It's a Cowboys thing too. I get that, but I'm putting Dak in the tier below.
So you're those people. He's like,
I'm
the
those
Cowboys are annoying. They get too much coverage.
I think this year's
I'm talking
Cowboys.
about the player. This guy's a player in an
Sure.
offense. You love Schottenheimer. You love Pickens, CeeDee Lamb. You're giving Javonte Williams on pace for like a 1,400-yard season. This team Jason, you got Ferguson, the tight end, that's on pace for like double-digit touches. And this team is ready to go if they can just get their defense to stay at this level and win a few more games. I think Dak has
that's a lot of ifs.
Magical run in him.
That's a lot of
course.
ifs. Like what I'm saying is when I look at that tier and you've got Dak Prescott equals Matthew Stafford, equals I cannot use that term. It's Stafford and then Dak is
the irony, the way we got into this conversation. Darnold was my big hit years ago, and now wait till Dak gets in the playoffs and goes off this year, and I'll be sure to be annoying and call back this conversation. And on the flip side, you could bury me if Dak poops his pants.
This was a setup.
In the wild card round.
This was a setup, another setup.
All right, that was fun. Yes, Justin.
I was going to say, I'm kind of with Mark there just because of the past playoff performances of Dak Prescott, where it feels like if this was a regular season tier, absolutely, they belong together. But if you're talking about who am I confident is going to get to a Super Bowl?
But the ball, Noah, looks forward in time, not into the past.
I agree.
Says otherwise.
But it's a projection for Dak.
Apparently, so
it's a projection for Dak, whereas with Stafford, it's like full confidence.
Yes.
So that's where I'm at.
Fair enough. We'll take that out in post.
Cool.
All right, let's take a break. And when we get back, the return of Michael-Shawn Dugar.
Get paid, little shorty, get paid. 100,000 in the safe, couple thousand in the drain.
Is that? Is it? I think it is. That's Michael-Shawn Dugar's theme music. An OG of Heed the Call. He's a dad again.
That's right.
He just put out a book.
Also right.
He's
Same
still
week.
covering the Seahawks. Oh my goodness. And yet he's still alive. Money Mike Dugar, welcome back to Heed the Call, my friend.
Oh, thank you guys for having me. Love the music. Haven't heard it in a little bit. I'm a father of two now since my last appearance. My book has since dropped since my last time. Those things happened in the same week. Busy week.
Yep, the franchise, Seattle Seahawks, a curated history of the Legion of Boom era. You can get it at Amazon or wherever you get your books.
what's the response to it? What are Seahawks fans saying about your book?
And the response has been it's been really good. You know, the book is not a linear retelling of the Legion of Boom era because I just found that really boring after like 30 minutes of drafting chapters. I was like, this is going to suck if I do it this way. So it's like a more curated, I bounce around, very, very inspired by the Last Dance documentary of how you started in 1998, but now we swoop back to like Scotty's childhood, and then we come back to this, and so I designed it that way, and I feel like people really respected that, saw the vision with it, and got to the end of the book and like, oh my God, okay, it all works together. I think the real one in the Last Dance that inspired the whole style is how they did Steve Kerr hitting the shot in the finals. Where it's like, all right, you already know the story, but then like, all right, we talk about all this stuff with Steve's dad and everything and how that meant to him. I think that's also when they weaved him, like Mike punching him. And then you like whoosh back to the finals and you're like, whew, and you're like almost crying because you're like, wow, that was just incredible. So like, I liked that, and I designed it that way and wanted to get at like the heart of what made the team special beyond just like recapping plays that are already on YouTube, you know? And the fans have really gravitated to that. So that's been amazing. I'm also shipping signed copies to people as well. All they got to do is DM me on any platform. We basically got like an assembly line here, me and my hardworking wife. Just we're signing, we're shipping wherever you are. We signed a couple of Scotland, I think, last week, Switzerland, Ireland, France.
Got to hit up the Swiss.
UK going out today.
I would imagine with our strong international following, some of those people are exposed to Michael-Shawn Dugar and the book.
I meant to
through
tell
our
you,
show.
yes.
So we want
I ran
some of
into somebody,
the money is what we're getting at.
Well, you have to talk to my people about that. But I ran into somebody at a Seahawks game, actually, from Scotland, I want to say, on Sunday at the Sam Darnold show. On Sunday, he was like, hey, are you Michael-Shawn? I said, yes. And then he was like, yeah, man, I love your stuff. I'm here from like Scotland. I used to listen to you on Heed the Call. I was like, I love it. Wow. And this is just in the line getting coffee.
And now you're back on the show. If they ever adapt your book into like a miniseries, a prestige sports doc miniseries, I would do because you're a cinephile, as we know, Mike. I would do the film trope that's popped up in the 21st century where the doc starts with Russell Wilson dropping back to pass at the goal line against the Patriots, and then it freeze frames. And it's like, you're probably wondering how we got here. And then just start telling the story.
Honestly, yes, but honestly, in Marshawn Lynch's voice, with a lot of profanity. In
the way.
East Oakland dialect. Yeah, it's like, you probably wonder how the F we got here, huh, bruh? All right, let me tell you. And then we shoot back.
Okay,
to him.
There's an idea. There's an idea. All right, Mike, listen. Let's start here, because we just did the NFC Quarterback Confidence Pyramid. And if people remember season 1 of Heed the Call, there was a lot of conversation about Sam Darnold, who I was always a fan of, and his Viking season last year, and then me trying to convince Michael-Shawn Dugar to join the Darnold Hive. And Mike, to your credit, you said, you know what? I'm going to just stay outside the hive. And then Darnold becomes a free agent, and what happens? Here's Michael-Shawn Dugar making babies and writing books and covering NFL teams, and all of a sudden he looks around and he sees the catacombs of a Darnold Hive forming around him as Darnold comes to Seattle. And I just want to say, like, what is the Sam Darnold experience as a beat reporter, taking your personal feelings about his ability separate to this? What's he like?
Yeah. I mean, well, he's really boring, as most quarterbacks are, though.
Yeah.
I mean, that's no different than like Dak seems very boring. Mahomes seems like generally boring. I mean, the most exciting thing about like that Chiefs team, they're like this big dynasty, all these Hall of Famers, and the most exciting thing is like who the tight end's wife is. Honestly, so you think about it, like quarterbacks are just generally not that interesting. So he's boring, but he's a really good player, and. Honestly, my thoughts on him have aged fairly well. My whole thing with Sam was you take his 20 best throws, put them on a highlight reel, put it on TikTok. It's the best 20 throws you ever see on the internet. They are like his 20 best are as good as Josh Allen, Joe Burrow. Just you want to go all the way back, like Dan Marino's best. Like it's the best stuff. Darnold's got an arm. It's very special. He does it rolling right, rolling left. And then I can take like his 20 worst throws, and like 4 of them are in the Rams game this year from week 11. He just looks unplayable sometimes. I think the last time he threw 4 interceptions in a game was the I'm seeing ghost games when he was with the Jets, like 2019, I believe that was. So he's still got that in him. I don't really know if guys lose that, to be honest. That's like my new quarterback hot take. Like if you got a 4 interception stinker ghost seeing experience in you, I don't really know if those demons can be exercised in that way. You just are in this bucket of quarterbacks who you're just trying to build the best team possible around them so that when the weather drops, the temperature drops, they don't pee themselves. And I don't think that that's necessarily an insult to Darnold. I think there's a lot of good quarterbacks in that. I think Jared Goff's in that, for instance. I think Jalen Hurts is in that. Honestly, like you build the best thing around Jalen Hurts so that if he throws for 128 yards in a playoff game, which I think he's done, you don't lose the game. Jared Goff, same thing. Lamar Jackson might be in that as well. You want to talk playoff performance, to be honest. So there's a lot of guys in this bucket, is what I'm saying, and Sam's in there, and there's no shame in being in there. But I think the first 16 weeks of last season convinced members of this podcast and others that he was not in that bucket. And I think the truth is he is.
Okay. I guess that's the trick with Darnold. And you said it well, and it echoes what we talked about previously on the show with our NFC QB pyramid, confidence pyramid, of what we think could happen in the playoffs. Like when you've got a potentially implosion-oriented quarterback like Darnold, like in the locker room, because you're one of the few people that gets to go in there, talk to players, hear things, talk to others. Like, is there a sense that the teammates around him don't even think about that, or that they also know that Sam Darnold is one of these quarterbacks that could explode in the wrong way at some point? Like, is there any, like, how do the teammates deal with that?
Yeah, they deal with it in the inverse in their minds, but they're arriving at the same result. So I'll put it this way. Their brains are all like, if we do our job, Sam's going to do his, right? Which is basically the same version of what we're saying. If the team around him is fine, he'll be fine. But then if the O-linemen are like, well, if we let him get pressured, God bless, which makes sense. Again, there's a lot of quarterbacks. Receivers are like, if we don't get open right away, it can get dicey, and everyone knows that. Running backs too. Like if we don't run the ball and help him out in the whole pass game, it gets dicey. I think there's unique perspectives for each guy though too. Like Cooper Kupp is a really interesting one. For a few reasons on this team. He had 1,900 yards before, so he has really interesting perspective on what Jackson Smith and Jigba is doing, which is really cool to be able to talk to Coop about that. And then he also was on that Rams team that beat the snot out of Sam in the wild card round. And then there's somebody like Shaquille Griffin, former Seahawk, who doesn't play much. He's back now, but he was on that Vikings team with Sam. And now he's their teammates again. So there's a lot of people who have different perspectives that I feel are valuable. And everyone kind of knows we got to do our part. Like Sam's really good, but he's not a superhero. And that's
right. You don't put it on his shoulders. You're not putting the whole thing on his shoulders. And I guess that's a good way to transition into, well, first I'm wondering if if part of this with Kubiak and how they handled this home stretch, because he does lead the NFL in turnover worthy plays, but also to your point, he also has looked incredible at times this season. But like the strength of this team is the defense under Mike Macdonald, and you wrote a really good piece focusing on Leonard Williams and Byron Murphy. Like it's Leonard Williams and Sam Darnold. If only one team could have them together when they were in their early times. But Leonard Williams has been an absolute monster with Seattle since the moment they got him from the Jets for a second round pick. And what we saw against the Vikings. Now, that was a weird one because the Vikings absolutely botched their entire season because of the quarterback room, and Rosemer had no business being on an NFL field for that. So, like, that game, I don't want to, like, get overboard and be like, oh, it's the new Legion of Boom. But this defense, like, how special do you think this defense is top to bottom? And is it something, if they could find the right balance with the offense and the risk-taking, is this a Super Bowl winner potentially? How big are you in on this Seattle team?
I think the defense is that good. And a stat to another way to look at what Sam's doing, like he's still top 10 in EPA per dropback, despite leading the league in turnover percentage as well. So forget turnover worthy plays. He's actually turning it over at a higher rate than Tua, a higher rate than Geno, but still he is still right there with Stafford in terms of down to down efficiency. That shows you how good he's been when he's just not giving the ball to the other team, which is a weird sentence, but I mean, anyone who's watched Sam his career is like, yeah, that makes sense. If he doesn't throw a pick, he might throw a touchdown. That's how good he is. But it goes to the defense. I think if Sam just doesn't lead the league in turnover percentage in the last month and a half of the season, they can be a Super Bowl team because that's how good the defense is. And I think the defense, when I look at them, I look at like stuff that I can measure on a snap to snap basis. Like splash plays are great. Turnovers are great. But like there's a reason that the Seahawks and the Texans, for instance, have better defenses than the Bears, who lead the league, I believe, in takeaways by a pretty wide margin, I think, too. Because splash plays are cool, but down to down consistency is how you be great. The Seahawks have like the best run defense in the league. They have one of the best short yardage defenses in the league. I believe they have the lowest number of yards allowed to wide receivers. Most teams' best playmaker is a receiver on a lot of these teams. So like they do things on a snap to snap, week to week basis that makes it hard to get explosives on them. I think they're like a top 5 team and explosives allowed too on defense. So that's where these guys are so good. Like the pick six was great. But I thought some of Ernest Jones, who had that pick six, were way better than either of the 2 interceptions that really just landed in his lap. They weren't like the most amazing defensive plays in the world. And I think that's what makes these guys great. It's what makes Leo so great. He's leading the league in defensive in sacks right now. So is Byron Murphy II, their second year first round pick out of Texas. They both have 7. Like that's what they do every play, whether a run game, pass game, is why these guys are going to be so hard to beat. And that's why even the Rams, I won't say struggled, but like they didn't run away with the game. They had 4 interceptions. Jason Myers has a bit of a stronger leg and they lose that game anyway. The Rams do. So yeah, I'm in on these guys as a contender for sure, because when you play high level defense like that, and you do have an explosive offense that they do have, Sam leads the league in explosive pass percentage. You can beat anyone on any field, I think, in January.
All right, so let's look at the rest of the NFC then, because right now at 9-3, Seattle still is the 5th seed because the Rams have the tiebreaker currently. Of the teams that you've seen up close, who have you been the most impressed by, and conversely, like who are you seeing a little bit as a paper tiger?
Yeah, most impressed by the Rams. That's a really just well coached team, I think. And not I think I know. The NFC West, man, I've watched Kyle Shanahan and Sean McVay just get guys fired from out of here. Arizona coaches, they got Pete fired. He just couldn't beat them, so he had to leave. And you can see why. I mean, look at Kyle Shanahan, what he's doing over there with I can't even name 49ers defenders off the top of my head right now. It's unreal, and they're still piecing that together. So the Rams and 49ers I believe in. I'm not as sold on, let's see, Green Bay. They're really funky. I'm not really sold on the Eagles. I just feel like the Eagles have the same problems they had in 2023 with it's all behind the scenes. The talent is largely the same, but then we're like 6 or 7 weeks away from another deep dive, either from The Athletic or ESPN or whoever on here's why Jalen Hurts and Kevin Patullo. How you say it?
Yeah.
How you say his name? Yeah, Patullo.
Yeah.
Here's why they almost fought each other in week 15, like one of those. That's you can set your watch to that. I almost guarantee something like that is coming. So I don't believe in them for that reason. The Bears, it's just hard for me to buy what they're selling with the Caleb thing. He just seems to be, when I mentioned Darnold's efficiency, on play-by-play, Caleb's the opposite of that. Caleb, they're either just running the ball really well or Caleb's just throwing it in the dirt or just throwing guys out at first because he's addicted to playing baseball with these sidearm out of the pocket throws that have varying levels.
He does
of
very
success.
little things smoothly. He's not
It's a journey.
easy on the eye compared to some of the more athletic or functionally sound quarterbacks. That's for sure. But if you're a Chicago Bears fan who's never seen a 4,000-yard passer in your life, maybe it looks a little prettier,
Yeah, I mean that's why I liked Drake May more coming out of that draft. I just thought that you could play in structure more with Drake than you could with Caleb. Because I'm a Pac-12 guy, Pac-10, whatever we are now. But I watched a lot of Caleb, I guess is the gist of what I'm saying. And I was like, yeah, that guy plays a lot of backyard ball. It's great because he's faster than every Pac-12 whatever defensive lineman, and all these Pac-12 safeties stink. But that's not going to happen in the NFL. Whereas I looked at Drake, I was like, oh, he can run, but he just likes to just carve people up with his arm from the pocket. But I mean, honestly, on any given day, these teams, here's how I look at the NFC. Every team has warts. How fatal are your warts? The Seahawks that we just talked, they have a pretty fatal one. Their quarterback could easily just implode. I think that the Packers, their wart, one of them is if they get behind, what do? How often can Matt LaFleur run a shotgun play to Josh Jacobs on 2nd and 10 when they're down 9 in the second half? That's his bag. He can't do that. The Bears, what if Caleb has to actually throw on time in the pocket and win you a game? The Eagles, what if Jalen Hurts runs out of Maya Angelou quotes at halftime and just can't function in the second half of a game? I can go by every team. That's why I like the Rams the most. I think their main wart is what if they're on the wrong end of turnover variance? It's pretty much it. They can run it, they can throw it, they can rush the passer, they can stop the run, they can generate big plays on both sides of the ball. They got decent special teams now, I believe, too. So the Rams and Seahawks, I think, are number 1 and 2, but I think the Rams are easily the best team in the NFC right now.
There's a team out there that is 7-5. Mark has a little bit of a fetish for this team, to the annoyance of the other people on the show. They are the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They have opened the practice window for Mike Evans. They have opened the practice window for Jalen McMillan. They're getting healthier. They've got a couple key players back in the last couple weeks. They have 2 games against Carolina in the final 3 weeks of the season. Your belief level 1 through 10 in Baker and the Bucs?
Maybe a 6. I just think they run on vibes, it feels like. Because Baker's very vibey.
Sorry, Mark.
He's a vibey quarterback.
Yeah, you're right.
And I watched these guys drop 38 on Mike McDonald's defense. So I believe that they can put up points, but they can also just be duds. It's not a fantasy football pod, but I have 2 leagues where I have Baker, 3 leagues where I have Bucky, 2 leagues where I have Mike Evans. So I've been watching these guys. Is the reason I bring that up. I watch them pretty intently every week. And basically my fantasy success is based on whether Baker vibes well or his vibes are bad, and they've put up a lot of stinker performances offensively because they're running on that. I don't think they have an identity on offense, in part because of the injuries. I think Baker's a gamer. He's one of those guys, actually.
He's
not
their
worried about
identity.
at quarterback. Like in the playoffs, I would say Stafford. You mentioned the quarterback confidence. Like Stafford, I'm confident in a playoff game. Purdy, I'm actually pretty confident in. You look at his playoff record; it's actually really good. He does not play bad in the playoffs. Baker, pretty confident in him in the playoffs. His playoff record is his performance is pretty good. The problem with Tampa is on offense, I don't feel like they have a consistent identity, and on defense, Todd Bowles is living in like it's like the bad end of the Flores thing. It's like, if we get you, we get you. Like, this is a TFL on first down. Now you're living in 2nd and 17. But if you get us, you just got a 60-yard bomb. And now we just gave up a score. I just don't think you can live in that world, which is why I like Mike Macdonald's philosophy so much. He's like, we can limit explosives, but we can also stop the run as well. That's why their numbers are so good. So I believe, actually, I honestly think, guys, if the Seahawks or the Rams are the 5 and they go to the NFC South winner, they're just going to beat the snot out of them. That's like my early hot take. The 5 is going to smoke the 4, whoever it is, whether it's Carolina or Tampa.
All right, before we let you go, Mike, you mentioned Mike Macdonald, by the way. Let's go into the world of Vegas. Coach of the Year is a great race this year. I think Mike Macdonald deserves a lot more respect than he's getting right now. Vrabel's running away with it. You imagine it makes sense. And anyone that saw my opening to the Monday Night Show might think that I would be angry about this. But when you go from a top 3 pick to 11-2, and obviously everything he's done is working, yeah, I get it. He's minus 270. Ben Johnson all the way at 275. Mike Macdonald 650, and then everyone else from Steichen to Cohen to Kyle Shanahan, Peyton, Canales, Schottenheimer are all deep long shots. McDonald has done the job, hasn't he, Mike? Like, full buy-in over there.
Yeah, and I think that the way I measure coaches know how the job they do, the quality of it, is like how much of what you are is embodied in your team. You know, Vrabel really shows. I knew Vrabel would be a good coach. That was just the easiest thing in the world. When they hired him, it's like, yeah, they're going to go back to the playoffs because all these guys have these coach speak, these isms, and some of it just sounds crazy. Like when Matt Patricia says things, they sound stupid. Like, we're not going to do that, Coach Patricia. No, we don't believe in that.
Right.
But like Mike Macdonald has gotten these guys to believe in a lot of the stuff that he talks about. These little Mike Macdonald isms that just come to life. Like one of them is like, it doesn't have to be close. Like they just want to go out there and beat the snot out of people. And what do you know? You look up, and the Seahawks have the best point differential in the league. I think they're at plus 133. So, it comes to life. They call, one of the things I like culturally, they call the practice squad the ready squad. They changed the name. They printed shirts and everything, hats. Because they're like,
Good
what?
coach move. Classic coach move.
No, that's great. That's good, programming there. Because, I want all 17 of you guys to feel like when you get your number, we're not sitting there like, oh, damn, such and such has to play. Like, no, I'm excited that insert backup gets to play. Because you've earned the right because you stayed ready. It's just that the messaging, I think, is really important there. And Vrabel has a lot of similar stuff on like how he gets his guys motivated too. And yeah, Mike Macdonald's just like, he's killing it. He's killing it. I don't know if he'll win it because I actually don't like how Coach of the Year is voted on. It's like wins over expectation.
He's not going to win it. Vrabel's got it in the bag, yeah.
And honestly, I think you can make a good argument depending on how they finish for Schotty in that case, Brian Schottenheimer. Because in terms of expectation, like he was getting laughed at. Like Jerry was getting laughed at. The whole process was getting laughed at, although the process was funky, so that's fair. But the result was also being laughed at. Like, oh my goodness, you did all this and blocked Mike McCarthy just to hire a guy you already had? Well, he looks like a decent ball coach.
Mike, Justin from last year has some issues with control when it comes to gambling. So he's seeing plus 3,500 and he's going to put down one of his classic $10 bets. I could tell right now. I could just see it in his eyes.
If only I didn't live in Texas, I'm limited. I have to make a trip somewhere to actually.
Well,
put money
you
down,
willingly moved there so that you created your own conundrum.
All right. Without further ado, as we say goodbye to Mike, we can't let Mike go without delivering one of his famous, iconic. I mean, the thing that will be the first paragraph in his eulogy in many, many years. The Money Mike Three-Legged Olsen Parlay for Week 14. Hit it, Justin.
What's your name? G-Reg. What you do? Drop my drawers and let her see my third leg. Chilling on the 7th floor. I gotta let these chickens know Big Greg is in the house and I'm finna make these hoes. Then I'm quick.
Oh man, that is such great stuff.
Come on, fellas, let's get
It's
weird.
the sheer number of bleeps that gets me every time. You just at a certain point you lose the song entirely.
Oh man, what great stuff. Oh man, I miss doing the three-legged parlay. Also, I can't say I miss it because it didn't happen, but I missed being on the show this time around because I would have loved to hear the Mark diatribes about his Browns. Because they're just so relevant and so topical every week for reasons that warrant a diatribe.
I am physically and emotionally scarred at this point, and there are verbal rants that occur at times, and we miss having you hear them.
All right, let's get into it. He's a survivor, though, Mike. That's the good news. Your three-legged Olsen parlay for Week 14.
Can I do the Cowboys game? You
can do anything you want.
Does that work? Okay.
Full
cool.
freedom.
Let's see. Yeah, I like. Wow, I can't believe the Cowboys are +3. Yeah, hammer that. So let's go Cowboys +3.
Okay. That's
Seahawks
Thursday night. We're gonna get to that
minus-
recap preview next. Cowboys +3.
Yep.
Okay.
Seahawks -7, and I'm seeing Texans +3.5. I love it. I love that all the way. I'm very bullish on Houston, D'Amico Ryans, all that. I can't believe they're even dogs, to be honest. So
yeah,
I
I'm
love
with
that.
you. We were talking about that in the power rankings. I have the Texans going upwards. They're putting it together. So there you go. Cowboys +3, Seahawks -7, Texans +3. Was that what it was?
I saw Texans +3.5. They're getting 3.5 on BetMGM, which is a partner of the Athletics, so I'm a company man here. But
all right, good. Look
yeah,
at you.
I'm seeing +3.5.
All right,
There you go.
Money
Get your
Mike
Christmas
Dugar.
presents off that 3-leg.
There it is. You've said it all. At Mike Dugar on Twitter, like you said, reach out to him, buy the new book. You can even get a signed copy, and whether you're from Scotland or anywhere else, it's been great. Great to see Money Mike go fully international.
Absolutely.
Yeah, man. Yeah, a big credit to you guys. You guys this heat is like just massive overseas. Like my guys in London tell me all the time, they're like, dude, this show is like, it's the #1 show across the pond. I'm like, I can't do a British accent, or I would, but like, yeah, it's a lot of love. So I owe a lot of that to you guys. Like I said, literally just getting coffee on Sunday afternoons. Like, hey, I'm from the other side of the world, but I know you from this podcast. Nice to meet you. It's like that.
And Mike,
that
we
stuff
owe a
means the
lot to
world
you
That's what
too,
we do
buddy.
this for.
Because when we were, I remember calling you from my parents' house in Jersey when we were just putting together what the call was going to be, and you and Jordan both stepping up and giving us some structure and a little bit of identity in year one of the show was so important. And it's so great that you're on the show and continue, hopefully, have a presence as we move forward. Maybe Super Bowl week with the Seahawks.
Could be.
Hey, yeah, I'll be all for it. Anytime you need me and the kids' sleep schedules align, you got me.
All right,
that's a small window though during the week.
I get it.
Fair, but
I get it. Shut it
anytime
down too. That's what I say. Money Mike Dugar. Thank you, buddy.
Thanks, Mike.
Let's take a break. All right, we are back. Yes, I sincerely meant what I said. I always mean what I say on the show, but what Jordan and Mike brought to year one of Heed was so important for us. So great to have Jordan still in the mix and to get Mike back on the show and really get a chance to dig into the Seahawks with Mike, which we've never really had a chance to do. They're #2 in our power rankings, and like what he was saying about Darnold, and I feel like there's a slight. I'll put it this way, Cessy. I feel like there's a slight adjustment that they need to make in terms of reining in the quarterback and protecting themselves, and I think they could win even with the wide receiver not being on pace for 2,000 yards. I think they could level up, which is a dangerous and scary thing to think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, he made it. And one thing I love about Mike is that he's covering the Seahawks, but his takes are reasonable and measured. Like he's not swept away by them, which is his job, but he does a good job of that. But like he talked about the fact that like Darnold had that meltdown against the Rams and they nearly won that game. Like they feel right there. And if you can just get him under control in those key situations, and I think that's very possible. This is not like he's not a wild man. It's just there's variance when he goes a little south. But I think we're going to have Mike on again because I think the Seahawks are one of the biggest stories in the NFC, in the league, and an NFC title type team.
Yeah, and can you throw up the standings board in the NFC as we get to Thursday Night Football, which is excellent, which is Cowboys versus Lions. And if you look at it now, currently the Cowboys on a 3-game winning streak at 6-5-1 are the 9th seed. Detroit's right ahead of them at 7-5, the 8th seed. So both on the outside looking in. And you could make a case, a very strong one, in fact, that the team that loses on Thursday night is probably going to be on the outside looking in. It feels it's not going to be an elimination game necessarily, but it'll feel close to it. The team that loses, almost you would imagine, is going to have to come close to winning out to make it. And we'll start with the Cowboys side of it, Mark, because as we said again, after that Raiders Monday night win, here is the big test, and then they beat both Super Bowl participants, and now they finish up with the last test. If they pass this one. And back to like the Dak thing. I know you guys aren't as high on Dak as I am. Like, if Dak and the Cowboys sweep this big 3-game test, right? Who are you going to pick against? Can you pick against the Cowboys against anyone going down the stretch because they will have aced this test in every way? Well,
and they fixed their biggest concern, or it looks fixed in terms of their defense. That's changed. And so the Cowboys on offense, we always trusted, and Dak Prescott. I mean, I think what Justin and I were saying was like playoff Dak Prescott versus regular season. He's been pristine in the regular season. He, in the last 3 weeks, has had fantasy football finishes of number 3, and number 9. And the Lions have given up the 9th most fantasy points to quarterbacks in this season. It's not just about fantasy. That's telling you about production. And it's great to see someone like Malik Davis make a play like he did last week. Like, they're adding weaponry. CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens are both looking unstoppable at the moment. And that's helping Dak Prescott too. It's like, it's Detroit who doesn't have Terry Arnold this week at cornerback. It's a big task to try to slow down an offense that right now is like absolutely blowing the doors off of people. And Detroit, to me, feels a little bit more, they're under more pressure. The Cowboys are a surprise right now.
I agree. I think there's an enormous amount of pressure. That's why I like Detroit in this game, because I think Campbell will have this team ready and will have properly expressed to them the urgency in which if they approach this game as a do or die type game. And that said, there does feel like there's something off in the mix with the Detroit Lions this year, and the injury issues are mounting again for the second straight year. So we didn't really hit on this because it all happened very quickly during a holiday week, but Frank Ragnow, who's such a great pivot in the center of their offensive line, but could never stay healthy, he announces he's coming out of retirement, and then a couple days later, it's announced that he has a grade 3 hamstring injury. I think grade 3 is when your hamstring explodes essentially. And I was thinking to myself, how did that even happen? How do you come out of retirement and then you go to take your physical and you have a grade 3 hamstring? Did it happen in the workout for the physical that his hamstring exploded? I don't know if there was an updating on the reporting, but I remember thinking it's quite odd that all happened so quickly in the news cycle, and what shitty luck if that's indeed what happened, that it was working out ahead of or for the physical for the team, and then that happened. So he's not unretiring. He's back in retirement. You mentioned Arnold, likely season over, shoulder injury, so he's on IR. And then Amon-Ra St. Brown, who got rolled up on Thanksgiving. He has not practiced as we record this week, but they are labeling or indicating that it's a game time decision, which I'm not totally buying. I wonder if that's a smokescreen to get the Cowboys to have to prepare for St. Brown. But the idea that you would bring him back would surprise me when it was a significant ankle sprain. And then on top of it, Mark, I would say on the flip side there is, to my earlier point, this might be the season for the Lions, and maybe that's going to get this special wide receiver on the field, but he might not be himself. He probably isn't, and that's a problem because you take St. Brown out of this lineup, or that version of St. Brown, you saw once again with Ben Johnson in Chicago and Dan Campbell trying to figure this thing out on the fly on the sideline, that the Lions aren't special on offense this year.
No, they're not. They're not. They don't look like what they had formed themselves into. It was promising to see Jameson Williams go absolutely nuts last week. Like that was the plan. That's what Dan Campbell talked about. They've got to keep that going, because I think to your point about Amon-Ra, it's like, even if he's playing, which I tend to think that that's not happening too, is it like half the snaps or limited timeshare or work share there? Like, they need Williams to be what he is. They need Jahmyr Gibbs to step up. It's like it's this game where it's probably not happening. And you're dealing with a defense that's...
I trust Gibbs to step up. That's the one guy I definitely trust. It's, can they get this offense to consistent functionality? Can Jameson Williams have put him in a more prominent role? Can he be an approximation of St. Brown if he ends the game, if he's out of the game? And if Jameson Williams has to play more of a St. Brown role like we saw last Thursday, who's the guy that's taking the top off the defense if he's handling a different type of role? There's a little bit of depth issues on their offense, which I never would have thought going into the season.
Right. And they just have flat out, it's one of these teams that we always try to assess when you lose coordinators. Will it have an effect? Will it be all right? Will someone like Dan Campbell keep it all together? I think there is definitely like a talent vacuum here in terms of like the coordinator position. Like I see it with these Lions, and they're trying to work their way through it. And I trust Dan Campbell as much as I trust any head coach in the league to keep the emotional side of the team together, and that's still intact. But they just look less punishing. They look different to me, and you're getting the Cowboys at the worst possible time. And can Dallas handle the biggest spot they've been in all season? It is we need a Thursday night game of this magnitude, and here it is.
Yeah, it's going to be great. I mean, after seeing what the Cowboys have done these last 2 weeks, I think the stage isn't going to be too big for them. It's just a matter, can you keep this going against a Detroit team that I think, remember, like, the Detroit Lions to me are the Buffalo Bills of the NFC. Like, it's not about even getting to the playoffs. The idea is to get to the Super Bowl. And I just think, and this is when I do put a lot of this on coaching, is that Campbell's going to have this team with its hair on fire in this game at home in this setting. I'm not gonna lock it up because I don't want to do it on a Thursday game and mess up our show at all that way. But I feel very good that the Lions get right and they bring the Cowboys back down to earth, because as much as we have praised Dallas's defense for its improvement at every level, it's a little bit different to be in the spot against Detroit when they're as desperate as they are and they're facing their mortality. It would be a huge letdown if Detroit doesn't even make the playoffs this year. I mean, that would be crushing. So I expect huge games from the playmakers on this team that are healthy. Like a big game from Hutchinson. I could see that, just giving Dak Prescott hell. Gibbs and Montgomery doing damage. Jameson Williams making a big play. Jared Goff playing well in the dome in this setting. I like the Lions a lot in this game. Where do you come down?
They need Goff to play.
It's a big Goff game.
They need Goff in that tier that you put him in the pyramid. I think they'll get it. They are just he's a different player at home in Detroit. I think the Lions win a thriller over Dallas 31-30.
Ooh, okay. I like that. I'm going to go 38-27 Lions. It's the number 12 Cowboys in our power rankings against the number 10 Lions. Saucy.
I got an update on the Ragnow thing. If
you do? What you got? How did he hurt his hamstring?
Well, I don't know how he hurt his hamstring, but Eric Woodyard reported for ESPN that Ragnow had disclosed that he was dealing with a hamstring issue during the discussions with the Lions about coming out of retirement, but he and they didn't know the severity of the injury until he took that physical.
You know whose fault this is? It's not Ragnow's fault. It's not the Lions' fault. It's the big mouth agent who wanted to throw a bone to one of the insiders, and it's like, could we have waited for a little bit longer? If we knew there was a hamstring issue, we could have avoided all this. We wouldn't be talking about this right now. Shame on you.
It's
and I'll pick the Cowboys to win because I'm a Cowboys fan now. I don't know.
There he is. He's full Texas now. He's got more. He's got more guns in that house than Dom DeSandro.
By 3.
We have 0.
Right. Good stuff. Good stuff. Great stuff. Blah blah blah. Remember, Heed the Call merch is available. heedthecallpodcast.com. And Patreon announcement. We teased it. Buffalo Bills Love Story, the Christmas special put out by Hallmark. We will be doing a live watch of, what is the exact title, Justin? I want to give respect to the filmmakers involved.
Do you? Sorry. Holiday Touchdown, a Bills love story. Poster appears on screen.
It's a
Holiday
thespian's
touchdown.
paradise.
It's a holiday touchdown. So make sure you, if you're not signed up for the Patreon, we'll drop that one into the first paid tier, and it's going to be all of us. Everybody associated with the Patreon is going to drop in on the show, and maybe even a couple other surprise guests as we do a live watch of that on Tuesday, next Tuesday. At what time, Justin?
Have we set a time? What do you want to do?
I'm putting it all in your lap.
Let's say 5 Pacific, 8 Eastern.
Yes, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 Pacific, next Tuesday. Holiday Touchdown, a Buffalo Bills love story. We'll watch it. Mystery
bread and
Science
butter.
3000, that bitch, and have a good time doing it with a little eggnog, with a little spicy mix in it. How about that? Join the Patreon, patreon.com/heed the call. All right, we're back on Thursday. Connor will rejoin us. We'll break down all of the Week 14 action to come and recap the game we just previewed. Mark, final words.
I want to say one more time, thank you to the people that listen to this show. We're getting close to our 30,000, right? How close are we?
30K challenge on subscribers. Absolutely, Mark.
What a surprise to come for the listener if we hit that. We better hit it soon. Smash that button.
Smash it. Mark demands you smash. All right. Till Thursday. Do what you must. Heed the call.
Nationwide is so much more than a great insurance company. They're one of America's largest financial services companies. Like how I'm more than just Peyton Manning. I'm also motivating Manning. When I say insurance, you say financial services. Insurance.
Financial services.
Insurance.
Financial services.
Now when I say nationwide, you say is both. Nationwide.
Is both.
Nationwide.
Is both.
For your insurance and financial needs, Nationwide is on your side.
Nationwide Investment Services Corporation, member FINRA, Columbus, Ohio.
Building a portfolio with Fidelity Basket Portfolios is kind of like making a sandwich. It's as simple as picking your stocks and ETFs, sort of like your meats and other toppings, and managing it as one big, juicy investment. Now that's pretty good. Learn more at fidelity.com/baskets. Investing involves risk, including risk of loss. Fidelity Brokerage Services, LLC. Member NYSE SIPC.